As the musician, you want your music to be used to generate royalties, and you may be wondering, where do these royalties get generated or where they come from? This is typically from music users, people that use your music in order to entertain or improve their content for someone else, and then they generate a revenue from that. Now, it's trickier to explain like that, so I'm gonna head over to my PC and show you various venues and typical music users that have been known to pay out royalties, particularly with SAMRO and particularly with SAMPRA. So I'm gonna head over to my PC right now.
What's up? So the thing you want to do first is head to the SAMRO website, samro.org.za, and then when you get there, it should look something like this. You can accept the cookies at the bottom, and then you want to go right at the top where it says distribution and navigate to where it says royalty distribution. When you're in there, you get this is what it looks like, and basically at the bottom, distribution categories and subcategories. So usually when SAMRO pays out, they pay by the categories within SAMRO. So radio, general, live, television, film, foreign, and mobile and internet transmissions. So it gives you a breakdown of what distribution is, what to expect. So public services, so these are usually SABC type of radio stations. Private services, so these are the ones that are owned privately, for example, Algoa FM. And community services, these are the smaller radio stations that generally only distribute or send out radio communications within the province. General is grouped with radio, so usually you get paid for radio and general, or just live, television, film, foreign, and mobile internet transmissions. Okay, now to get a more detailed, like if you know which radio stations you usually work with, you can scroll back up, and where it says distribution rules, you click on the distribution rules, and then this form pops up, which is probably the most detailed version of anything you need to know with regards to SAMRO. So they break down how royalties are paid. This is the same as that previous. So, sorry. The categories over here are also in that document here. They're shown over here. Foreign is grouped. So when you're getting your radio music played overseas, and then you're also getting sync overseas, it all comes in one big royalty together, known as the foreign one. And then you can scroll down, but to find the particular companies that are already licensed, you go right to the bottom where you get annexure I, or 1 in this case, and then it shows you all the different types of registered entities or people with licenses. So these companies, you should be able to get royalties from them, depending on how much they make and what their license agreement, it varies. So radio community, for example, would be a lot lower than what 5FM would be, which is broadcast public radio. So it tells you if it's public, community, or private. Gospel TV is private, KZN is a community radio station if you look on the right hand side. But these are more or less most of the kind entities that are covered, and this is where you find if you'll get royalties from them. Now, I wouldn't really spend too much time double checking this, because if they are broadcasting, especially if you're in radio, if they're broadcasting, you'll get your royalties. But it's nice to know if you're not sure if it's private community or for-profit public, like SABC. It's nice to know and gives you ballpark what you should be expecting. But that basically covers how to check which companies will give you royalties from SAMRO anyway. Now, with regards to SAMPRA, you go to the SAMPRA website, sampra.org.za, and now SAMPRA doesn't have licenses with every broadcaster. So in my opinion, it's a little more difficult to get royalties from SAMPRA because they are not as licensed as much as SAMRO is licensed. And the needle time royalty is newer to the whole copyright framework anyway. So these royalties are more difficult to say, but nonetheless, it is something that you should be looking out for as a musician. It's another revenue stream. So to see which entities are licensed, you go to where it says music users at the top, and then licensed music users. So these are the entities that have a license with SAMPRA, and you can expect royalties if your music is being used or played within them. So click on where they split it up into 4 different categories. So this is for broadcasters, so typically radio stations. And then as you can see, pre-media has 4 at the top. Capasso Media has also got 1 there, Jacaranda. But you can see the list is fairly short. Algoa has 1, Kaya. Compared to that long list we saw in SAMRO's one, where almost every radio station is covered, there's a shorter list for SAMPRA. But if you're getting your music played in any of these entities, then I highly suggest that you track the radio plays using Warm Music or using Radio Monitor, and then once you get all the information, you send it through to SAMPRA, and then discuss with them. Now, with regards to retailers, these are typically stores that sell things such as Pick and Pay. This list is a lot more extensive, 162, and it's 10 per. Okay, that's why. Let's put 100. This list is a lot longer. Algoa, for example, has 1. Your Algoa Toyota, that is. But overall, the list for retailers is longer. I am not an expert on getting my music into retailers, but it's something that I think if anyone within the audience or anyone watching has links to this or has some advice, then please feel free to leave it in the comments below. Restaurants are also another one. And depending on the type of music you make, your music might not actually fit in for a restaurant. Restaurants usually play background music, so it's a little trickier to get on these. I can't even think of a restaurant now that I'm thinking about it. But if you know your music plays at a restaurant, you come to this list and double check, and then verify how we can verify more or less how we can link your plays to how SAMPRA plays out. And then there's also another category called others. So others, sometimes there are bus services, taxi services, etc. that do register with SAMPRA. This one's a shorter list. Action Plus, so that's a gym, for example. Jets, it's a guest house. So it's a combination of hair salons. So everything else other than the major categories will be covered within other users. But those are typically the licensed venues, and if your music is playing on either of these, you should be able to get royalties from SAMPRA and SAMRO.
If you want to know how many TV placements or plays you need to generate 1,000 Rand, watch this video.